Overtime! All right, you're watching Overtime Arcade. I'm Charlie, and today I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to work on a black and white raster monitor. That's right, here we go. I've got my depth charge right here. It, of course, is a black and white game made in 1977, and the monitor is working, but it's a little bit twitchy, it's a little bit glitchy, and I'm hoping that by replacing the cap kit and the filter caps, we'll be able to stabilize that image and just get a nice, better picture. And this is something that I've never done before. Obviously, I've recapped a whole bunch of monitors in my time, both on this channel and just in my time, collecting and restoring classic arcade video games. But I've never done a black and white raster. I've worked on black and white vectors before. Obviously, I've got an Asteroids and an Armor Attack, but never a black and white raster. So I'm a little bit anxious about this. I'm not really sure what to expect. So to assist myself, I've enlisted the services of one Russell Penner over here, who is joining us live from a Facebook Messenger call. Russell, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So Russell is a fellow arcade game collector and restorer. He's got a lot of black and white games, so he's worked on monitors like this before. This is a Motorola XM-501. Russell's got one of those. He's also got other black and white rasters in Space Invaders and some other games. Hopefully the levels are good and you'll be able to hear Russell kind of help guide me through the process and make sure that I don't make any mistakes. I've got some different tools here that are different than maybe what you've seen me use before. I've got an HV probe that we're going to use to discharge the monitor. Rather than just using my normal homemade monitor discharging tool, it's a little bit safer in general to use an HV probe always, but especially for these black and white rasters and actually any vector monitor. If you use just a snap of that homemade tool, you can damage the high voltage diode, which you don't want to do. So we're going to use the HV probe to do that. I've of course got a cap kit from arcadepartsandrepair.com. This is again for the Motorola XM-501, which is a 19-inch black and white raster. It also works on the XM-701 and XM-702, which are 23-inch black and whites, which I think are basically the same. I've also got, and you'll see a little bit more about this in a bit, I've got a cap kit to replace the multi-cap filter, the can cap in the monitor. I've got a little pipe cutting tool. You'll see what we use for that. We use that for in a little bit. And yeah, a lot of the same basic stuff. So without further ado, let's get set up to pull this thing out of the cabinet. I'll get you set up on the tripod here. Like I said, a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious to do this just because it's something I've never done before and it's a little bit different than working on a G07 or a 4900 or K7000, something like that. So we're looking in the back of the cabinet here. I've got the door off already. Okay, the cabinet is off, it's disconnected. The first thing I'm going to do is discharge the monitor. Again, I'm using my HV probe. This is a made by Fluke. It's a model 80K-40, if you can see that right there. 80K-40 HV probe. Basically, it clips in to your multimeter like that, and then there's a little alligator clip on the end of a wire that you use for ground. So let's see, it's all twisted up. I'll put the multimeter right there. It's on DC volts, and basically we're going to want to watch this thing slowly discharge and bleed off the voltage as opposed to snapping off all at once. All right, I've got the ground lug connected. We'll be looking at this multimeter as I stick the HV probe with my left hand in my pocket underneath here. This anode cap is really kind of stiff. It's harder rubber, not the softer rubber. Hopefully I can get this even in here without damaging anything. You ever had this kind of problem before, Russell?
Like you said, it's really a hard one, but with the flat blade on that, it shouldn't be an issue.
Well, I don't have a flat blade on mine. I've got a...
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Yeah, this one has a... let's see. What am I going to do here?
That's weird that they didn't include one. I got a cheap one.
I got mine used on eBay because these things are incredibly expensive. Like, it's like $200 or something. And it's not a tool, you know, unless you're working on a ton of these monitors that you're going to use every day. I'm just using my left hand. I think we're making... Yeah, we are making contact. And I believe I didn't see anything on the multimeter. So I believe we are discharged. I'm going to try to pry this thing off safely. All right, I've got one of the alligator or little rabbit ears off. Put that down there. All right, our anode is disconnected. I don't think it's damaged. I hope it's not damaged. All right, we'll double check that we've discharged it fully, like this. All right, nothing and nothing. All right, Russell, I think I did it.
Okay.
That's step one out of the way.
Charlie's still alive. So
Charlie's still alive. Yeah, this anode cap is kind of hard rubber. It's not like soft and pliable like you would typically find. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the chassis from the monitor. I'm going to leave the tube in place. So I'll just disconnect the single connector here that gives us our video and power and all that to the monitor. I'm going to carefully remove the neck connector. There is no neck board on this monitor, so it's just a little circular pinout connector right there. So that's good. And yep, that is keyed, so I'll get it back in the right way. And then there's just 4 bolts that hold the base onto the frame. So I think this is a little, yeah, 1/4 inch nut socket. So let me quickly remove this. We'll speed this up. All right, I've got all 4 bolts off. The chassis should come straight out now. One other thing to point out, you'll see in a second, there's a little sort of like coiled piece of wire that connects, that grounds the chassis to the back of the tube. You know, obviously there's the sort of graphite aqua dag sort of stuff painted onto the back of the tube. But rather than having a dag coil that's sort of like, I don't know, spring loaded and connected onto that, it's just got this little piece of wire that connects. So you'll see that in a second. This thing is kind of snug in here. There we go. All right, just a little snug in here. There we go. Oh, something's still connected. All right, I see what's going on. Okay, and I need to pay very close attention to this. I didn't remove the yoke wires, so we've got 3 positions on the left-hand side. We've got red and green on top and nothing on the bottom. And on the right, we've also got 3 positions, nothing on the top 2. And we've got black on the bottom, so I can go back and watch this video. That's one. Oh, come on. It's coming. There we go. This feels like fragile. This black one doesn't want to come. There we go. All right. Almost ripped the yoke wires. But there we go. Nice and free. We'll bring this over to our workbench. All right, so there we go. The naked tube and part of the frame still in the cabinet. And we'll come over here. And we've got Russell again and our chassis and base. So here's what's kind of what we got going on here. Isolation transformer, 2 filter caps, one of which is a multi-cap, and I'll show you what that's all about later. Got some transistors, one of which has a heat sink couple of fuses down here, adjustment pots. This is basically the main single PCB, like the video board, I think is what they call it. Another transformer over here, which is interesting because this is what the yoke wires go through. And so the yoke wires come directly off of, well, 3 of them at least. 2 of them come directly off of the transformer. One of them sort of goes underneath. This little spring piece here is what connects to the aquadag on the back of the tube for grounding. We've got our anode cup. This little thingamajig is actually our flyback. Very different sort of design than what you typically see, but I think it, you know, with more recent monitors, but does the same job. And then this is our HV diode over here. We have our model number is an XM-501-10B. It's got a little star right here. I don't know if that means anything, but yeah, basically that's what's going on. I'll tilt the screen down so Russell has a better view of what we're doing. Another thing that's interesting is we've got an extra little daughter card over here, which I believe is the sound amplifier. Not all XM501s used a monitor-based sound amp, but obviously Depth Charge did. So let's see. Another kind of weird thing, if you can see it, is we've got 2 fuses right here, and there's another pigtail fuse that's been wired in over here. I think this is with R79 on this sort of breakout board sort of thing. This fuse is blown. I can see inside the fuse is blown, and somebody twisted on a little piece of copper wire to jump that fuse, to jump that blown fuse. If you look at the schematics, this fuse doesn't appear though. It's supposed to only have 1 and 2, so I don't know if this was blown and then this was soldered in to fix that or whatever. So we'll take a look at what's going on. Obviously, I don't love the fact that a fuse has been jumped with a piece of wire, but it's just strange. So we'll figure out what's going on with that. Yeah, let's dig in. So Russell, I think another thing I need to do is pry this board
Yes.
off of the frame, right, or off of the base. So
there's those little plastic clips.
Yeah, there's plastic.
So you may need to squeeze those while you pry up.
Well, and I'm going to cut them too. So they've got zip ties on them because this thing is, you know, other than this sort of, you know, hack job over here, it looks like it's never been worked on. So there's zip ties that actually hold those plastic clips. So I'll go ahead and cut these zip ties. All right, so we did that. So we should be able to remove the video board here. There are these little plastic tabs I'm going to squeeze together and then kind of pry a little bit at a time, because there's a whole bunch of connectors that the board kind of plugs into. It's such a unusual design, you know, compared to what I'm used to seeing. This board is like flexible, and I'm see, this is what I'm kind of nervous about, Russell. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Glad you're
Just
here,
go
buddy.
a little bit at a time. It'll be all right. It has a little flex to it, so. Looks like you almost got it.
There we go.
There you go.
All right, I think we're
There you go.
free. And this should lift right out. So yeah, you see all these header pins on 3 different sides, 4 sets of header pins on 3 different sides. Plug into these, I don't know, receptacles here. So what an interesting design. Yeah, so put that over here. We've got our zip ties that we've cut. Another thing we can do, and I'll move it a little bit, is we can pull this HD diode out just so that we don't risk damaging it. And Russell said there's a little suction cup thing. I'm trying.
Not really suction cup, but
trying to release it.
Yeah.
Any trick to this, Russell?
It's like a wedge.
I don't want to.
I would take like a needle nose plier.
Yep.
And just pry up right there.
Here we go. That's super easy. Look at that. That's why I've got you here, Russell. All
Okay.
right, there's our HV diode that we'll kind of tuck over here for safekeeping. We don't want to risk damaging that. And yeah, we've got 3 different bottle cap transistors on the top here that I can see. Flyback looks okay. I don't know. It looks actually like this top wire or this top metal piece might have been broken and soldered back together. I can't believe that is the case, though. Maybe that's a manufacturing seam. You know, Russell's got one of these that you're working. It's in your tank, Russell, that you're working on.
Yes.
And the flyback like fell apart, right? And so you have to put it back together with what is it, RTV silicone or something?
Correct.
So Russell's definitely been in the trenches with these. Let's just flip this over real quick and see what's going on the underside. All right. So as you can see real quick, there's quite a bit happening on the underside here. There's a whole bunch of diodes and capacitors. There's a light, there's a bulb down here, Russell. You see this?
Yeah, a couple bulbs.
I'm only seeing one sort of like light bulb socket, almost like a coin door.
Okay.
Does that turn on and indicate something?
I've never messed with it myself. So.
Yeah. We've got more caps on this side. That's some sort of coil, like a with coil. All right, I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to get the tripod set up, and then we'll start doing the cap kit on the video board, and then we'll get that squared away, and then we'll turn our attention to the multi-cap. So stay tuned. All right, here we go, all set up to do the cap kit on the video board from, again, this is a Motorola XM-501, like it says on Peter's instruction sheet here. There's only 9 caps that you need to do, 9 sort of primary caps. We've got 7 of them on the video board, 1 that's on the audio amp, we'll do that separately, and then 1 that's actually sort of hanging out on the underside of the chassis, you know, frame base sort of thing. So I've got all my caps set up. We've got 1 axial, and yeah, let's just go to work here. Our first one down here is C1, and I will do a bit of this on camera just because there are so few videos of anyone capping or installing a cap kit on this monitor. We'll start with a little flux on C1 right here. I know Sean from Classic Arcade Repairs, and hopefully my big head's not in the way. Sean from Classic Arcade Repairs has capped one of these monitors. That's probably the only video. And Sean or Russell here. Say hi again, Russell.
Hello there.
Russell has. I almost grabbed the business end of this soldering iron. Russell has also done work on a monitor similar to this on his YouTube channel, but again, not a ton of videos. So just add a little bit of fresh solder. I'll come in now with my desoldering tool, which I just cleaned, and I cleaned the heck out of this thing, so things should work really nicely. There we go. Nice. I took the whole thing apart, and look, the cap fell right out. So this is a 47 microfarad 50 volt cap. And yep, 47 microfarad 50 volt, which is this little guy right here. And most of these caps, the polarity is marked on the board, which is great. So we'll do that. All right. And we'll solder this in like so. All right, C1 is done. All right, C1 is good to go. I will mark that off on my list here. Next we have C2, which is basically right next to it. C2 is right there. Okay, again, a little bit of flux. Are we still in frame? Yep, a little bit of flux. And the reason that you clean that Hacko FR301 is really for flux reasons. You get so much flux that ends up getting into the mechanism and clogs up the pump and filter and everything. And there's a little like flap valve in there, so deep cleaning every now and then. It really helps with the vacuum power. All right. And this is also a 47 microfarad 50 volt cap. Got them loaded up and ready to go here. All right, that pops right in. Again, Russell, thank you for hanging out with me and babysitting me and making sure I don't screw this up.
Of course. Can't help with the polarity.
Yeah. We'll I'll put a link to your channel and your video on the filter, the multi-cap thing in the video description down below. Do you have any other plans for making more videos in the near future?
Oh, eventually. Yeah. Just a matter of time.
So there's C2. C4, is that one in the same area? Yeah, right there.
Yep.
C4, this one's sort of sideways though.
Yeah, 1, 2, 4, and 6 are pretty close together.
And I had been, similar to being anxious to work on this monitor, and now I'm in the zone and I'm cooking away. This chassis is so clean and like nicely laid out and labeled. I was also a little bit anxious to really do the deep cleaning on the desoldering tool. Oops. Oh, that one's got. It's this has like an extra piece of the leg was not clipped all the way. It was like bent over and soldered. I was a little bit nervous to clean this desoldering tool because I was worried that something was broken inside, and that's the reason why it wasn't having good vacuum force. All right, another 47 and 50. Yeah, this is going really nicely. Done with this in no time. All right. And now, like I do every couple of caps, I like to come back with my multimeter and make sure that I've got good continuity with all of my solder joints. So do that, set to continuity beep. We'll come in here. All right, those aren't shorted. Where should this go? Right here. That's good. That's good. C2 is not shorted. C2 comes over here and here. All right. That's good. All right, we're good. And we will double check the polarity on all these. Negative and positive, negative and positive, negative and positive. I will cross each of these off entirely on my checklist. I will grab my little edge cutters and remove the excess leg of the cap, making sure that I don't cut into the solder. I'm going to cut maybe a millimeter or two above the solder. You don't want to compromise the solder joint. Just removing the excess leg so that it doesn't get bent over and short to anything. All right, next on the video board is C6, and let's find C6 real quick.
So just to the right and up from 4.
I see it. And this one, they installed an axial cap originally, but we can replace that with a radial because it's just mounted like a radial. I'll come in and just mark the caps that I've done just so that I know that they're good. All right. So, yep, C6 right there. See it? Okay, again, a little flux. And since there's, like I said, since there's so few videos of people working on this monitor, we'll do, and the cap kit is so small, there's so few caps. We'll do the whole thing. We'll do the whole thing here on camera, as long as Russell doesn't mind hanging out.
Nope, don't mind at all.
It is the day after Christmas. This video won't be out for a few days, which I think makes this, this is going to be like the 9th day of the 12 days of Arcademas.
Okay.
So yesterday was day 6, and it was a short tour of, where did we go? Is it One Up Lodo in Denver?
Well, we definitely went there. I'm not sure which video that was. Trying to keep up.
I know it's a lot. It's a lot just to watch them. This leg, there we go. There we go. C6 fell out. So as you can see, this is a axial cap that got folded over. And this says 470 and 16. And we're going to be replacing that with a 470 microfarad 35 volts. So you can always go up with the voltage, but you want the same capacitance value, microfarad value. All right, so here we are. This is a 470 35, and that is also marked for polarity. So we'll go and stick this guy in like so. Oops. And I'll bend this leg over just to kind of help hold it in place. All right. This one has a shared pad over here. We can bend this leg back straight, solder it in. And I'll just add a bunch more solder here just to make sure we are nice and connected. All right. I think I'm happy with that. So C6 has been installed. Now C16 has a little note to it, if you can see it here. It's asterisked. It says C16 location on the PCB usually isn't marked for polarity, so make sure to note the polarity of the original cap prior to removing it so you know how to correctly orient the capacitor. And C16 is up here. Russell, you were saying on yours you didn't have an electrolytic installed. You had a some other type of cap?
Correct. On the one that I have not done the cap kit on,
yeah,
but it does not have a electrolytic type capacitor there.
So mine does. So C16 is right here, and on this one, negative is pointing up, so going towards the edge, the outer edge. So we'll keep in mind of that, or we'll keep that in mind rather when we do this.
And that reflects what is on the other 501 that I've done.
Yeah. And I'm trying to see exactly where this is. All right, I think this is C16. And if we, desolder the wrong thing, we can always, solder whatever we accidentally removed and replace it with this. So yeah, this would be day 9 of the 12 days of Arcademas. So day 6 was yesterday, and that was a 60-second tour short video of the One Up Lodo in Denver, where Russell met me. There's going to be quite a few tours with Russell in them pretty soon. And yep, that cap fell right out. I got it right. All right. And this is a 1/16 or maybe a 1 microfarad 16 volt. We'll replace that with a, not that one.
Should be a 1 microfarad 50.
Oh, I see it was hiding over here. Yep, 1 microfarad 50. And again, negative is going up. So yeah, that was, yesterday was the day 6 of the 12 Days of Arcademas with that tour. Today we're going to do the Coin Jam podcast live stream, which is, for me and Russ right now, it's our future, but it'll be in the past for anyone watching this video. That'll be day 7. Day 8, we've got another video tour, another arcade that I went to with Russell. And then this video will be day 9. Day 10 will be another tour that I went, place I went with Russell. Day 11 will be another project video. And day 12, New Year's Day, will be a live stream just after midnight Eastern Time. So that looks okay. All right, so that's, again, polarity up, negative up, yep. So C16 is done. So that'll be a lot of fun. And so again, the 12 Days of Arcademas I'm crazy, Russell. I'm doing a new video every day for 12 straight days, ending on New Year's Day. So C24 is over here, and this is an axial cap. We've got one axial cap in the kit, which should be 150 microfarad and 50 volts. I don't want these caps to roll away on me. Let me stand them up. So we've got it over here, C24. And I like how so many of these are marked really clearly, really nicely. You know, back in the 70s, they expected people to work on this stuff, to fix it, you know, just like, you know, people would work on classic cars and whatnot. Nowadays, right, the stuff, well, it's all microelectronics, which is too small to really work on by hand without, you know, super high-end tools. And things are just much more disposable, I guess. But even later arcade machines in the 80s, schematics weren't as good. So there goes our old cap, which was, oh, interesting. This was 220 microfarad 16, and I'm replacing it with a 150. I don't know how I feel about that. Can you double check yours, Russell? See what your value for C24 is?
Sure. Well, let's see.
It's the axial?
Yeah, it's the way it's positioned on my board, soldered in. It's hard to tell. What brand is yours? Just curious.
Oh, that's funny. The one I just removed is a Nichicon, which is strange.
Oh, really? And mine's IEC. It looks like 150 16 volt.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, but this one has a 220. That is fascinating. And it's a Nichicon that I just removed. So maybe this board was worked on. They just didn't remove the, that's so strange. I don't even think Nichicon was around back in the 70s.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm
going to trust, especially because Russell just confirmed his, right? I'm going to trust Peter. And I'm going to put Peter's cap in here. Let me just get the leads kind of bent the same way.
We're talking C24, correct?
C24.
Yeah, mine's 150 16 volt, and what he provided is a 150 50 volts. So.
All right. That should be good. And negative wants to go over there. Positive wants to go over here. Okay. We'll solder this guy on. Yeah, it's really raining now, if you can hear that in the background. All right, we've completed 3 more caps, so let's go ahead and check the continuity with these. All right, this looks like that's good. The legs of C24 have continuity between them, with 3 ohms of resistance. Russell, if you've got your multimeter handy, can you see if you've got continuity between those legs?
Yeah, let me see. Which legs?
C24. Yeah, I've got continuity between them with 3 volt or 3 ohms of resistance.
Same.
Okay, that's good. Good sign, good sign.
2.8 on mine, but...
Well, and especially since I don't have any other, you know, of these monitors, I don't have a, you know, a known good one to have as a reference check for that sort of thing. So,
exactly.
Again, so thankful that Russell is here to keep me on the straight and narrow. And just cutting these.
This monitor, I still need, or this chassis, I still need to recap myself, but
it works.
Yeah.
Kind of like this one.
It's not great, but it works.
Yeah.
I need to recap it and do the cap or the filter cap like you're doing.
All right. And we'll just come back and mark these 3 caps. This one really can't be marked all that well, so I'll just go like this. All right. And we got one more cap on the video board.
C36.
Yep, C36, which is it the one down at the bottom?
It's real close to the V size.
Yeah.
Standing up.
And I like that it's labeled on both sides. I like this chassis, Russell.
It's not bad.
Won't have to make any t-shirts about silkscreen errors or any other nonsense like that.
Right?
I do have another t-shirt idea for a monitor problem that I haven't encountered on camera just yet. But we'll have to wait until we have that problem. Yeah, this is working great now that I cleaned it. Proper maintenance, Russell.
I know.
This is another one of these axial caps that's been installed where radial will go. And this is a 4.7 microfarad 100 volt. And we're replacing that with exactly the same. Let's see, that's not it. No, that's not it. Here we go. 4.7 microfarad 100 volts. So C36 goes in like this. Whoops. All right, we'll solder that into place. And we'll double check the polarity again with all these. And we should be done with the video board. See how fast that went? None of these 40 cap 90s monitors. Okay. Checking continuity. This goes all the way over here. That's good. All right. So we can cut this. Flip it over. Yep, positive is going in the correct direction. Let's double check over here. Yep, positive's going over there. Negative's going up. All right, Russell, I think we're done with that. We've just got 2 more here, but neither of those is on the video board. So let me pull the daughter board out, and I should just be able to pull those tabs and lift straight up. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here's our little itty bitty little sound amp. I'm assuming this is what it is, right? And
correct.
got some scorching on the underside here. I might reflow a bunch of this, because I don't like the look of some of this solder. The sound was working though, so oh, there it is right here. It's our cap right there. So let me move this a little bit out of the way. All right, so this is C50 right here, which looks like a 47 microfarad, 50 volts, which is this little guy. So hopefully we'll be able to bend the legs apart enough. And
yeah, I was able to on my other monitor, so.
So C50 is right here. There's one. There's two. This is such a tiny little board. And it leapt out of there. All right, and yep, looks like polarity is marked, and it was marked the same way. So here we go, 47 and 50. Yep, we'll be able to get it in there. Bend these legs a little bit. It looks pretty good. Almost want to get my...
Yeah, there's plenty of clearance with it standing straight up like that. So.
Yeah. Almost want to get my helping hands out. There we go. All right. Continuity test. And we just got a little bit of leg poking out to snip off. All right. So that is everything on the boards. So let me do this. Let me pause here. We'll flip the camera around and we'll look at the underside of the base of the chassis to get to C51. Okay, this last cap in the cap kit, which is C51, this is going to be the tricky one. So it's actually this cap right here, this old looking silver cap. The marking on it here is 40 microfarad, 100 volts. The replacement is a 47 microfarad, 250 volts. And it's just kind of like wired in, you know, not through into a PCB or anything. So this side, which I believe is the positive lead as confirmed by Russell, kind of connects to the second pin on the header over here. And the negative lead sort of wraps around onto the fourth position of this sort of breakout board kind of thing here. And let's see, this is my replacement cap, 47, 250 volt, which will, I don't know, just barely be able to touch those 2 points. I'm probably going to have to put some heat shrink tubing on the legs to prevent it from shorting out. But yeah, I'm kind of debating whether or not I even want to do this and maybe just leave the old cap in. But hey, for science, let's do it, Russell. So I'm cutting the old cap out because it would be way too difficult to try to desolder it with everything else going on and over here. There we go. Again, positive is going that way. And let's see. Such a strange looking cap. Sprague. Made in the USA. They don't make caps in the USA anymore, Russell. That's not it. So this would come in kind of like this. Yeah, it'll be long enough. Yeah, I'm going to put some heat shrink tubing on this and bend these ends. Let me do that real quick here. All right, here's the solution I came up with. These legs are just barely going to fit where I need them to go, but it wants to short out in 3 different places. This leg wants to short out to this other header, and this leg wants to short out to 2 of these other pins here, header pins kind of. So I've put on some heat shrink tubing onto the legs to prevent that from happening. But then I was worried because there's a screw back here from this socket for a transistor, and I was worried about the top of the cap shorting out to that screw. I don't know if that would be a problem, but just to be safe, I put some heat shrink tubing on that screw, and I put some electrical tape on the top of the cap. So if we come in like this, and put that there, and this goes up here. If we do it like this, that should work. So without shorting anything out. So let me remove this, which has just been dry fit. Let me go and add a little bit of flux to my 2 solder points. And let's see. Oh, no, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this one. Okay. And, oh, I want to add some fresh solder as well. Just to help with the process. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, let's put this back in. What a bizarre little thing. Everything was so easy up until this point, Russell. And we haven't even done the thing that I thought would be a little bit complicated. Let's put some solder on. I don't know if that's enough. That's probably plenty. And over here, that should be good. Okay, let's test continuity. First over on this side. I don't even know where to go. I'll try down here. I think that's all right. And Russell, I think it's in.
Good.
And we've got the negative polarity going towards me, which I think is correct. Let me look at the picture I sent you again.
I believe that's correct.
Because positive looks like it was going away from me. So I think we're done with this cap kit. Now, that wasn't even what I thought would be the complicated part. The complicated part is what's going on over here. So we've got these 2 big silver caps on the board and or on the frame, one of which is a multi-cap. So Russell and I are here debating on the best way to do this. So it's got 4 different lugs with 4 different capacitance values, and then a common ground on the outside that gets soldered in. And then there are these 4 tabs that are all ground, and they're kind of twisted in place. And I don't think I have a ton of slack, but I don't think I also have that many options. So I'm going to come in here, and we are filming this, correct? Yeah. I'm going to cut these wires, but first I'm going to write down what's going on. So we've got a half moon, we've got a square, we've got a triangle, and we've got, let me grab my flashlight. We've got nothing. So this is brown, gray, orange, and white. So I can cut these now. It's actually 3 gray ones. We'll write that down. 3x gray, the rest, 1 white, 2 brown, and 2 orange. It's just so cramped down here.
So it looks like my brown are hooked to the half moon.
Yeah.
The gray are hooked to the square.
Yep.
The orange are attached to the triangle.
Yep.
And then there's one that doesn't really have a symbol, and that looks like that must be white.
Yep, I'm seeing the same.
My white is really dirty, so.
All right, so now hopefully I can come in here with a bit more clearance, still not a ton, and twist these tabs. Because basically what we're going to do is, if we can, is reuse these cans. Can. How am I going to get my desoldering tool in there to remove all that solder?
Yeah, that's the tricky part on this one.
Okay, cut away there for, Russ, what was it, a couple hours?
Probably.
2 hours. We had a bit of a, or I had a bit of a disaster, but I think I've recovered from it. So this is the multi-cap capacitor that I was attempting to remove. You can see on the side here there are 4 different values, each of which corresponds to a symbol. So we have this half moon symbol, which is 400 microfarad, 125 volts. A square, which is 600 microfarad, 100 volts. Triangle is 200 microfarad, 50 volts, and no symbol is 20 microfarad, 200 volts. So this is a, I guess it's called a multi-cap or a can cap. All of the outside, there's 4 sort of outside lugs. All of those are ground in common. And then each of these lugs on the inside that corresponds to these little symbols, if you can see them sort of etched into the plastic there, is a different capacitance value. So this is one giant capacitor with 4 different values. So that's what we were trying to replace. I was trying to remove it and desolder it. I cut all the wires off, and only one of the lugs was soldered. I think it was this one, just because it only needs ground in one spot. The other ones are kind of twisted in, and 2 of them came out okay. One of them just sort of got shredded. But the one that was soldered in place, there was just so much solder, and I couldn't get it off. It's soldered directly to the, I guess this is anodized, I don't know, metal of the base of the chassis, which is one giant heat sink also. It's all, one giant piece of metal. And I just could not, for the life of me, get the old solder off. I tried adding flux and adding new solder. The new solder would melt, and then it would come back off without taking any of the old solder off. So was kind of stuck with that. So I ended up just, ripping it out of there, destroying the lug. So yeah, and what I was hoping to do was take this cap kit from Peter from arcadepartsandrepair.com and kind of stuff these caps inside of this old can to maintain the aesthetic appearance of what the monitor chassis originally looked like. Russell's done this before with other similar monitors, and he was sort of doing it in parallel, while I was working on this. One thing he discovered though is these caps in the correct configuration won't actually fit inside the relatively small confines of this can, so I wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. He's kind of making it work by moving the wires around. The caps will fit in the can, just not in the configuration, not in the sort of position they need to be for the original wiring. But he's going to move that around, so that should be okay. So instead of doing this, instead of putting these caps inside of this can, what I ended up using, and I'll show a picture of it in the screen here, just because it's already installed, is I installed this sort of replacement multi-cap, mini PCB thing that I got from Arcade Shop, which is actually made or at least designed by Arcade Jason. And so you can see what it looks like in here. It's 4 similar modern caps on a little circle mini PCB, and it fits in just like that, right? So rather than trying to stuff them back into the original can, they're mounted on this little PCB, and that goes on just fine. I had to move the wires around to get everything to fit right, because also with this cap, they're not in the exact same position that the original caps would have been in, so you got to move the wires around a little bit. But I've got that soldered in, it's grounded, everything tests out continuity-wise, so I think we're okay with this. And I'm actually going to put the chassis off to the side momentarily. And what I want to do now is look at the other cap. So this is the other can filter cap that was in there. This one is a single value. So I think technically it could have provided multiple values, because it looks like it might, and there's these symbols and everything. But this is only configured for a single value, and there's only a single lug that's even exposed here to be connected. This is 5,000 microfarad 20 volt. I'm going to replace it with a cap that I got from Mauser. This is 5,600 microfarad 25 volts, so relatively close. And I think with filter caps, it's okay to go up a little bit, because all it's really doing is smoothing out the voltage. And what I'd like to do, if possible, is reuse this can, okay? And to do that, we've got to cut this can open, remove the guts, and solder the new cap inside of this and reuse the base. Now what I want to do is actually cut this thing open. And Russ, I don't know if you came up with this technique or what. You're certainly the first person I saw do this, but there's a little tool. Whoops, bump the camera, bump the tripod. Need a professional filming crew. So this is a Pittsburgh mini tubing cutter from Harbor Freight. It's just a couple of bucks. And Russell found that this is a perfect little tool for cutting open these capacitors. Because I'm a little bit crazy, I'm going to go grab some gloves. Because I saw Russell do this before. He kind of had a mess on his hands and used paper towel to kind of grab stuff. I've got some paper towel handy, but I'm going to put gloves on just in case, I don't know. This is 50-year-old electrolytic fluid. I don't know if it could be corrosive or something. I just rather not get it on my hands. What do you think, Russell? Is this overkill?
Well, my hands didn't disappear, so
yeah.
It didn't get eaten away.
Didn't burn a hole through like alien blood?
It might have, but...
So what we're going to try to do, so this is almost a little bit like a can opener, right? So there's a blade here and it squeezes together. So,
and just turn it until you hear it pierce.
Yeah, I want to make sure it's straight.
Sure.
All right, now I'm tightening it until we hear a pop. I think that'll be all right. It's kind of crushing the can.
Yeah, it's just a...
All right, we did it.
Okay.
Here we go. Now we're exposed. All right. We'll have to bend this back into a circle. Does yours have this at the bottom here, all white?
No, mine was different than that.
Yours looked different. All right.
But it might just be part of the capacitor in there, so.
Yeah. All right, and we got this whole mess of junk in here. Yeah, this kind of crushed the can a bit, but that should be okay. Trying to open this up a bit, repairing the sort of crushedness. Which should also help us take this old stuff out. I'll throw my glove back on. All right. There we go. Look at that. A lot of gunk in there. Wild. So I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here. I'll probably file down the sharp edges of this, and we'll clean up everything, and then we'll get ready to stuff the new cap inside of the can. Okay, now I'm ready to stuff this old cap. I've got it cleaned out as best I could. There's still some remnants of gunk in there, but I'm not too worried about it. There's this plastic or wax sort of piece at the bottom, and I actually poked some holes through it to be able to fit everything through. So this is the way that I'm going to kind of seat it. We'll have that as the bottom. Poke it through like this, and like so. So the positive leg I'll be able to connect to this lead or lug, and then the negative one I'll tie to one of these on the outside, and then we'll solder that in place. So let's see, let me go like this and wrap it around. And use my needle nose pliers to finish bending that. And I've been telling Russ how appreciative I am of him spending the better part of a day with me trying to get this squared away. Really appreciate it, Russ.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Your videos have helped me out quite a bit, so.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear
I
that.
don't mind. Wish you didn't have so much issues with getting the solder off.
Yeah, it'll be all right. It'll be okay. All right, now we can come in here and solder this on. And hopefully I have not soldered my helping hands, and of course I did not, so that's good. And this side here is the positive lead. And I think that's looking pretty good. Let me test continuity. Then we can stuff this cap back inside the can. So this should go, that's good. And this should go, that's good. Good. All right. So here we have our old can. We can stuff back together. I flared the inside in and the outside out a little bit just to help these pieces fit back together. And I took a metal file to the edges just to keep it from, you know, being too jagged. Not perfect, and it's not super pretty, but I think it'll work. That is a little bit nice and snug, but just to make it a little bit better, I'm going to take some, I think this is like aluminum tape, and I'll cut a length of it off. All right, and we'll come down like this. Make that nice and straight. In Russell's video, he used clear packing tape, which you could use too. I figured this gives it just a little bit more of a touch of madness, maybe, but.
Now I like the aluminum tape idea.
Okay, here we go, wrapping it around. Small amount of overlap. There we go. You can still see the original labels, which are a little bit incorrect now because the the new cap has a slightly higher capacitance and a voltage rating, but here we go. How does that look? New cap stuffed in an old can. I'd say it's okay. What do you think, Russ? How does that look to you?
I think that looks good.
All right. So let's get all of this nonsense out of the way. We'll bring our chassis back. Okay. And see if we can tuck this in. All right, snaps right in. And I'm gonna have to move some wires around. We need to solder, I probably should have done this first. We need to solder some wires back on and the lugs back on. So let me go ahead and do that real quick and then I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, I've got the other can cap soldered back into place right here. Ground goes to the base of the chassis, and we've got 5 different wires that go to the single value lug there. So I think we're totally done with caps now. 2 other things to kind of point out here that are a bit strange. Right here, there is a pigtail fuse. This is a 1 amp slow blow fuse that's been like soldered in. I don't know. That fuse is blown and it's been replaced by a piece of copper wire to jump that. I don't like it at all, but because it was working like that, I'm going to leave it in there. The schematics don't call for it, so I have no idea why this thing was there in the first place. Russell doesn't have it on his. I'm going to leave it, you know, leave well enough alone. Something I don't want to leave alone though is I managed to bust the flyback. So I had noticed it looked a little bit weird. This is what it's supposed to look like. There's a little piece of, I don't know if this is copper or what, that connects to the top here and then is supposed to connect right there. It looked like it had been repaired before. There was a little piece of solder, if you can see that right there, that was connecting you know, this piece with this, but then it also broke off right here. So Russell and I have been thinking about this. We don't think it's actually an electrical thing. We don't think it's actually important for the functioning of the flyback. It's just sort of here to hold things together. On the underside of the flyback, there is a couple of pal nuts that kind of hold it together. And there's continuity between those 2 ends because it's, you know, 2 different ends of this piece of, I don't know if you want to call it a wire or a piece of metal tubing or something. I'm going to try to solder this back together, but let me do that off camera because it's going to be a bit awkward. And then I'll show you what it looks like at the end. But I think this is just a pin that kind of holds parts of the flyback together, and it doesn't have any electrical characteristics to it, but I could be wrong. So let me go give it a try, and then I think what we'll do at that point, we'll put everything back together. We'll put the chassis back into the monitor. We'll test all our connections and fire it up and see if it works. So cross your fingers and stay tuned for that. Okay, we're all plugged back into the cabinet. I got the video board plugged into the chassis base. I've got the HV diode plugged back in. I've got the neck connector plugged in. I've got the yoke wires plugged back in. I've got the single connector plugged back in. which I don't like how it looks. And got the cabinet power cord plugged in. Russell, are we ready to power this thing up?
Yep.
I'm worried that the caps are going to explode. I'm worried that the flyback's going to explode. I'm worried that, oh, we need to set up to test the B+. So Russell was so kind to look this up for me. So remind me again, Russell. We want
number 2 spot on the outside of the chassis.
Yep. Let me sort of get this in here. All right, we are plugged in. I've got the B+, we got the multimeter connected to the B+ test point, and we should be ready to go. So, Russell, I want you to give me a countdown.
Oh, okay. Let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Wow, it's loud. B+ is at 61.5.
I'm sorry?
B+ is at 61.5.
Yeah, you want to turn that up to 73.
73. Russell, we've got a picture.
Yeah, good.
73. It's a little bit finicky. I don't like this tool. Let me grab one of my new ones. Actually I got Dell from Dell's Arcade was recommending this specific tool set in the Overtime Arcade private members only Discord. And because mine were sort of getting chewed up a little bit, these feel nice and robust. Here we go, 73.0, 70, well, right around 73. It's kind of fluctuating, but I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But guys,
good.
We've got an image. It is filling the screen. It's maybe a little bit too tall. Let me move the tripod around and we will take a look at this glorious image, Russell.
Yeah.
This is awesome. This is awesome. Let me just adjust the shutter speed real quick. All right, it looks even better in person than it does. And I'll move Russell around so you can see what I'm talking about. Russell, look at this glorious image.
Oh, nice.
Look at that. Rock solid. It's beautiful. Russell helped me make some fine-tuning adjustments, and I think we got a really nice picture here. The marquee bulb might be going out, but look at that. Might still do a little bit more. It was twitching a little bit, but we're locked in at 73 volts on the B+. So Russell, thank you for all your help. Here you are right here. Say hi to everybody again.
How you guys doing?
Russell, you are a hero. Russell, you're a hero. You're a lifesaver. I couldn't have done this without your expertise. And yeah, guys, like I said, I thought this was going to be my last episode on the depth charge, but now that Galloping Ghost has reproduced the side art and the control panel and the kick plate, I think at some point we'll go ahead and do that. Camera looks a little bit wonky, but yeah, why don't we play a quick round of depth charge. Very simple game. You know, you move your ship left and right, you drop depth charges at the enemy subs. The lower they are, the more points they are, but they fire torpedoes, or they drop mines that float up to get you. And this game has no start button, so you basically just coin up and the game starts. So, that one's not working. There we go. So the game has started. So we move left and right, and we drop depth charges. We can only drop, I think, 3 from each side until they explode and regenerate. And all you need to do is get close enough. It's kind of like horseshoes, right? Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades and depth charge. I might have even made that joke before. But I think there's a lot of chance in this game. So like your ability to get a high score is really a function of the ships that appear and whether or not you'll be able to get them. So even if you get every ship on the screen, it might not be enough to really get an awesome score. You do have to make sure that you pay attention to the mines that are being launched, because it's easy for you to see right there, that 10-point ship almost got me. You really got to watch those. If you become complacent, you'll miss them, and they will get you. And you have infinite lives, but basically, every time you get defeated, it cuts your score in half, I think. Yeah, every time your ship is hit, you lose half your score at the end of the game. So you definitely don't want to do that. All right, we got fast movers at the top. I don't know, is that navally accurate, Russell? Submarines can move faster, closer to the surface.
I don't know if there's such a thing.
And watch out for those mines, because they will get you. And you can see it's counting down. I got 10 seconds left in normal time. But if I have enough points, I will earn overtime. And yeah, it calls it overtime when you have an extended play, basically. Yep, we made it to overtime.
Like Overtime Arcade?
Just like Overtime Arcade. I don't think I'm going to be able to catch that 70. No. Hopefully I'll get that 80, though. I might have missed that 80. Whoa, you almost got me. Yeah, I missed the 80. And it just has, like sonar sound effects. Very simple game, but addictive. The game only takes about, 3 minutes to play, including overtime. And yeah, a lot of fun. Great score for $100 earlier this year. And I'm glad that the monitor survived my attempt to repair it. And yeah, 3, 2, 1. Let's see. I don't think we'll break 1,000. Oh no, we get bonus points. 30 bonus points per sub destroyed. So let's see, what's our tally? 1770. 1,770 is our final score. And yeah, I think that'll about do it for this episode of Overtime Arcade. Hope you enjoyed it. This was a really, really long project. I thought this would be a quick, 2-hour thing. Russell and I ended up being on video calls for at least 6 hours today, so I can't thank him enough for that. Russell is also one of our awesome Overtime Arcade channel members. Basically, he and his fellow channel members donate $1.99 a month to help support the channel, and in exchange they get access to some awesome perks like our monthly members-only live stream. They get early access to all new videos about a day ahead of the public release, and they get access to our private members-only Discord, where we have a lot of fun hanging out, talking about what we're working on, what we're playing, what we're collecting, that sort of thing. So if you're interested in learning more about that, click on that join button down below. It'll tell you all about it. And yeah, I think that's going to do it. This was day 9 of the 12 Days of Arcademas 2023. I hope you enjoyed it. So on behalf of Russell and myself, I'm Charlie. You've been watching Overtime Arcade, and we'll see you next time.
Overtime!